the circle of fifths. I am a strong believer in memorizing and using the circle of fifths. It's a very practical way of studying and analyzing material. So, one exercise that I would like you to do is to grab your circle of fifths and try to figure out what, for an example, what a minor third is from each one of these. So remember, minor third, when we're talking about minor thirds, let me see if I can write here. Yeah. So when I'm talking about minor thirds, we were talking about 3 half steps, right? So the first one we're going to do is C, and the minor third of C would be an E flat, right? C, E flat. The reason is because C to C sharp, it's a minor second, C sharp to D, minor second, and D to E flat, it's a minor second. So I would do as an exercise, I would go one by one, each one of these, and I would write out the minor third of all of them. So let's randomly go pick something. So let's go to F. Let's go the other way around. Instead of going clockwise, let's go counterclockwise. F. I know that the minor third is going to be 3 half steps away. So F to F sharp to G, G to A flat. So that is your minor third between F and A flat. That's a minor third interval. Okay? And what's interesting is that this gives you the beginning of the chord of F minor, because an F minor chord has F, A flat, C. Okay, so it's 1, 3, and 5. So as an exercise, work on your minor thirds first. Go around the circle of fifths and work on the minor thirds. Maybe you can start C, then you go to G, you write a G minor. So G minor would be G to B flat. You have your 3 half steps. You go D and you figure it out. Then you figure out what is D. You say, okay, D, D sharp, that's 1 half step, D sharp to E, that's another half step, E to F, it's a natural half step between E and F. Remember we spoke about that? And that's a minor third, so it's a D, F, and that's your minor third. And you go around the whole circle until you figure out all of them. That is a good way to start. The next one once you figure those out, you can play them on the saxophone, play each interval, and then the next one you want to do is the major thirds. So the major thirds have 4 half steps, right? So you're going to go, let's start with A. So you're going to go A. I know that my major third is a C sharp, I just know. But if you have to do it by half steps, then do it by half steps. So A to B flat, it's a half step. B flat to B, it's another half step. B to C is a natural half step. And C to C sharp, it's another half step. And there you have your four half steps. Okay, so major thirds have 4 half steps, minor thirds have 3 half steps. Now, you can go like that all the way around the circle of fifths, which is something you can do and is mathematically the right thing to do. Now, for a person like me, that's not the way I learned. I learned all my major scales by memory. So I learned that a G has 1 sharp, F sharp, D has 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. It said that A has 3 sharps, F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. And I always say in an order, right? So I always start with F sharp, then the next one I count the F sharp and the C sharp, the next one I count F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp, the next one I go F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp, etc. And you want to go in order because it makes it a lot easier to memorize these things. The reason why you want to memorize the scales as opposed to learning it by half steps is just that it takes forever to figure out things by half steps. If you know that you're in a major scale, and you know that you have an F sharp. If somebody says, "Oh, what's," for example, somebody says, uh, uh, "Play me a B major scale," or "Play me a B major chord," I know that it has five sharps, and they're in my memory. So for sure, I will know automatically that the third of B, the major third of B, is going to be a D sharp. And I did the same thing with the minor scales. I memorized what's in each one of these minor scales in the same way, which made my life a lot easier when it came to improvisation. So work on the half steps to figure out the minor thirds and major thirds. I think that's going to give you an insight. But the most important thing you can do for yourself is memorize all of the circle of fifths, the major scales. And you can start with memorizing 3 scales or 2 scales per week. Think about it. You do, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In 6 weeks, you'll know the whole circle of fifths. So, it should be easy peasy. Actually, it's not that easy, but yeah, you can start working on it, and it'll sink. Anyway, I hope this helped.